Shop smart, shop right. Shop right. Shop smart, shop right.
At any time and in any place. Using news, video novellas.
Ich habe eine Zusage für das Praktikum.
Songs to sing along to.
Sie ist der Komparativ vom Superlativ. Man sieht sie oft in ihrem Duden vertieft.
And interactive exercises. Everything is online, mobile and interactive.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into the second episode of a new locally produced TV series called Ask the Mayor, a platform exclusive to One Africa TV, where you get to ask this country's various mayors questions by sending those questions to the number 555 and then having them answered right here in the studio. I'm your presenter, Joseph Ilonga. Thank you for watching. We're picking up from episode 1 of this television series by continuing with public questions posed via SMS to His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Windhoek, Dr. Job Mupanda, who joins us now in the studio. Your Worship, once again, thank you for joining us. I think we have to continue from where we left off. But before we get to the main questions and why we're here today, just maybe kindly just tell us, what are some of the challenges or some of the successes or achievements that you have achieved in office as the Mayor of the City of Windhoek?
Yeah, well, we'll start, you're asking now for a balance sheet, the asset and the liabilities. I think maybe let's start with the liabilities, the challenges. Well, we thought that things will be, we had a coalition formation that is constituting the leadership. We thought things are going to, we will find each other immediately and then start rolling the ball. And as you know that we could only sign an agreement, I think in August. It took us about 6 to 7 months because these are diverse people with different interests, different ideology, different identities, different expectation also. And that comes naturally in politics also, because politics is the art of the possible in one of the conceptualization. But so people also become very suspicious of one another. And you are suspicious of what is the intention of this one and that one and things like that. And that process really took us long, you know, to find our feet and be able to kick, to get the ball rolling. So I think we underestimated, maybe on my part also, I underestimated the dynamics, the political dynamics, because I thought people are just going to, we will find each other and we'll just work fast and then we'll move forward. So it rather took long for the coalition to function effectively, and we are getting there, and that's one of the, quite a major challenge also. And number two is also just the rumor mongering. I'm from the background of activism. We deal with programs and activities. We deal with tactical sophistication. We deal with management by objectives. So in other words, you map a process from point A to point B, where point B is a better place. Then you say, how do I get from here to there? Yeah, but then the experience at the city is that even where you have set the clear objective of what we want to do, then another person can simply just start saying, it's not a river, it's an ocean. And then you have to debate with a person who can see clearly that it's not an ocean, it's a river. And also to learn to be tolerant. Even you are struggling with wrong views and wrong, you know that it's not correct, but you learn now to just assimilate. You learn to forgive. You know, not necessarily forget, but because to forget in this climate, it to be very unwise to do, but to be forgiving in order to, you live to fight another day. You don't battle everything that comes to you. So it has been a challenge because, I mean, we come from activism. If we say we are going to strike for the interviews to be public, for for the Ombudsman or Prosecutor General, we are going to do that. And that's my background. And now you sit with somebody and then you agree, and then tomorrow they turn around and they say, they say something else. So that took us a lot of time. It took us a lot of time to be able to get together and do that. Number three, one of the challenges also, you had a lot of fear. I mean, the city of Windhoek has been run by SWAPO for 30 years. These officials and colleagues, both in government and elsewhere, they didn't really know what we were going to do. Also, of course, we are very clear about fight against corruption, about indicating that we are not under the control of central government. We work with central government. We coordinate our efforts with central government, but we're not their children. We're not their subordinates. So that challenge, sometimes when you question a particular conduct of a minister, for instance, the minister may conclude that you are fighting him. And then tomorrow you say that, no, minister, here we are together on this issue. So it takes a lot of time for people to get to understand. That's why we are saying that we must administer some sort of shock therapy. In one instances, you have to assure that, no, this program of affordable housing, we are continuing with it. Yes, it's a program that was started by SWAPO government, but it's a program that is assisting our people. So we have to continue with it. Those were the negatives now, and there are quite a number of them, but I'm just highlighting some of them. On the positives, we managed to uplift the national mood of the people of Namibia, also of the residents. You know, council meetings are not just watched by the residents of the city of Windhoek. They are also watched by other residents of other towns. And you know, sometimes they call us and say, why is our town not also live streaming the council discussion? They want to follow what is happening in Windhoek. And so the uplifting of the mood, you know, for people to actually give Windhoek an identity. So Windhoek, we were always just hearing it was overshadowed by the central government. It was overshadowed by parliament. It was because all these institutions. Now we have an identity. People know that they are mayors, they are councillors, they are chairperson of management committee, they are CEOs and what in Windhoek. So I think that is really something that this leadership has done very well in terms of lifting the national mood. The residents can also, so I can also ask a question. And also we've introduced a program that I'm very excited about. It's called The Voices from Within, where we listen to the employees, because sometimes as mayor or as a councillor, we are only engaging with CEOs and people that are at the top. But there is a person who have worked for the city for 27 years. Who understand when the city was up, low, and they never get an opportunity to speak to you as a leader. So we organized a dinner. We had I think 2 weeks ago, we had a dinner for all of them, the employees from 55 to 60, some sort of veterans. And we had dinner with them, and then they get an opportunity for them to speak. Those that are not comfortable, they gave their suggestion into boxes and things like that. On the 29th, we are going to continue with the second age category from 35 to 54, to hear from them, to communicate our vision, but also to hear from them and also motivate them.
Very, very, very insightful.
Yeah.
I think before we get into the next round of questions, we'll have to take a quick visit to the marketplace.
Great combo deal from Choppies! Choppies, great value for your money.
When life gets boring, we bring out our play, because playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and love. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Welcome back to Ask the Mayor. Thank you for tuning in. We're still joined in studio here by the Mayor of the City of Windhoek, Dr. Job Mopanda. Your Worship, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Joseph.
Let's just get straight into the first question here. Christina Simaho from Hakahana Habitat 2 says she has been without electricity for 3 years and wants to know when the residents will get electricity. What do you have to say about this very important question we have here from Christina Simaho?
Yeah, generally electricity is very complex. It's a very complex and technical. Now, when Christina says what she does not say is that she did not have electricity for
3 years.
For 3 years.
Yes.
And when you start to understand is that, okay, how is it possible for a person not to have electricity in 3 years? Was electricity disconnected or what? Does she owe the city or what? So if you owe the city, we're very clear about that. But generally knowing our people, because she's saying is the location is where?
Hakahana Habitat.
Hakahana Habitat 2. So because when you hear in terms of the location, you can almost see that it must be the informal settlements. It must be in the informal settlements. So the electricity is also part of our strategy. Remember we spoke in the previous discussion, we had a discussion around development and upgrading policy that you formalize the informal settlement by bringing the services. And the services include water, electricity, and sewer system and things like that. Now, we are so serious with because electricity must come first. It allows, okay, water, you can still say people are going to have water through communal intervention, but electricity is very, very important because while a person can still walk for 500 meters or a kilometer to get water, but children need to study. It is very risky for them to walk around, for the girls to walk around late. In places such as Korea, the girls get raped in those darkness. So in terms of what do we bring first at the city, we always prioritize electricity. And that is why through our discussion with Nam Power, you could see that 2 months ago we opened, we officially handed over about 100 households in that as a pilot program in terms of electrification of the rural to peri-urban intervention. It was actually the biggest corporate social responsibility that Nam Power have ever done, and in particular in that context of 24 million in the informal settlements where electricity was brought to those places. That's one of the initiatives. Another initiative is also part of our own budgeting systems for us to be able to electrify those informal settlements. We have also now decided that we need to go and borrow, to an extent that we are going to borrow money in order to be able to fund the electrification into those informal settlements. What I encourage the residents to do, because remember we're also talking about having a smart city also requires having smart residents. They must not just wait for the mayor to appear on radio on the show. I encourage the residents to see the rollout plan for electricity rollout plan, because there is a clear plan in terms of where are we going to electrify over the next 5 years strategic 5 years rollout strategy plan, so that the residents are able to see, from this place they are going to move to this place, they are going to move to this place. In my conversation with also SE of electricity and the colleagues from the electricity team, we're also saying, okay, although maybe this place or that place is further on in terms of our plans, but there are certain things that we can do, such as the high mask. Yeah, those big pole. When you go to the informal settlements, you would see that in some places that are dark, we put up big mask. That's what they are called. I'm learning this technical term, like high mask, that can project the electricity, to project light to further. Areas. So we are doing quite a lot in terms of electricity, but I think what we have not done is we have not adequately explained to people what is it that is happening with electricity. And if time allows, we can go in the details about part of the problem. Also, you must remember there was a resident who died while trying to connect electricity illegally. So now, we were now having a conversation with colleagues and saying, but what do you, trying to think, somebody have died, trying to connect electricity illegally. So how do you respond to that? One is inequality. It explains that people really need electricity, or people are really suffering. But on the other hand is that electricity is something as dangerous as electricity. Yes, it's a basic need. Are we going to live in a society where a person can just decide to go and cut cables and connect because they are in need? You know, for something as dangerous as electricity and things like that. So it's a serious balance that we need to be able to do. But I think we need to do a lot of explanation about electricity, because I'm personally not happy with what is happening on the part of the city, but also on the part of the residents. Part of the responsibility of leadership, and that's why for me it differs from other leaders. Other leaders want to be liked all the time, but I'm thinking, I've decided that where we have to take drastic decisions and people have to hate us for that, let it be.
And just maybe a follow-up. If you have to look at the issue of deforestation, energy poverty is something that is really, important when you look at it from the international, development organizations' point of view. But looking at some of these issues, connecting electricity illegally, also residents not having electricity perhaps due to where they find themselves. But also maybe looking at the environmental, hazards that not having sufficient amount of energy could also, cause. Is there a strategy around the city of Windhoek perhaps to also, protect the environment? Yes.
No, absolutely. We must remember that because of the common problem of the day, which is poverty, underdevelopment, inequality, and the informal settlement, and housing and land, people lose sight of the fact that when you are a leader of the city, you are not only a leader to the problems of the day, housing, land, inequality, poverty, and all those things. What if we solve the problems of housing and land and inequality and unemployment and economic deprivation? Does it mean that we have nothing else to do? That is why we also need to conscientize our residents to understand that the young men and women who are struggling with taxi money to go to NAST and UNAM, when we put up the basic lanes, we have a responsibility towards them. Because once we put up the basic lanes, they are able to save on transport. Now you have this tyranny of a person who say, I'm landless, I don't have land, therefore you mustn't build basic lanes. You see? Another person is an artist and is a journalist such as yourself. But you want to go to the community and carry stories, but there is no access to the informal settlements. The roads are very important for you to access. Another person is a domestic worker. He must travel from Havana to Katutura Central, from Katutura Central to town, from town to Kleine Coupe, to Kleine Coupe to Ludwigsdorp. He must take taxis 5 times to that domestic worker. If a municipality can build houses in Ludwigsdorp, low-cost houses in Ludwigsdorp, that she can rent, she could have quick access to that. So what will basically happening is, if you are a weak leader, you are going to be dominated to people who are interested in their little narrow. Yeah? So that's why I was giving an example to say, to the footballers, they just want their field. Yeah? And they want you to focus on football. But how about to the girl child? So you need to elevate yourself as a leader to a certain status so that you are able to see like an eagle. What are the problems of my residents?
After a hard year, we've got the Christmas you deserve with incredible savings. Like Koo baked beans and tomato sauce, buy 2 for just $22. And all gold tomato sauce, buy 2 for only $50. Plus, every day, we're giving Lucky Spar Rewards customers their shopping for free. Merry Christmas from all of us at Spar.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Ask the Mayor. Let's just get into the questions. The next question here is from Alfina Frederick, a resident from New Life, Koreachap. And she's asking when the residents in that area are going to get prepaid water.
Well, I have good, is it Miriam or what's the name?
Frederick.
Frederick,
yes.
Frederick, I have good news for you. Good news is that the city has now approved a prepaid water meter because we think it's also going to assist us, because you see people accumulating debt, it's not a good thing, and it also speaks very bad of a leadership that you can have debt accumulating to about 1 billion. So prepaid meter is almost just like you don't have a resident that is owing MTC, but of course the prepaid water meter also there are some people who are also criticizing it for whatever reason it is that they are criticizing it. But the good news is that council have already approved the prepaid water meter, and I think they are being piloted actually. There's about 300 of them. And what we have now decided with those 300 water meter that are going to be piloted, and there are two ways. I think one prepaid water meter is 4,000. You can either buy it cash, or it can be debited on your municipal account, and then you pay it over the period of 5 years in case you cannot afford the 4,000. Because times are tough, and to ask people to pay those huge sum of money at the same time is not always a best and wise decisions to do. So that is what is basically happening. So when those people pay back, and that money will not go into the pool, it will go into procuring more and more again. It's going to be in the revolving fund. So it's definitely coming.
And another question comes from an anonymous person. And this person wants to find out, or rather this person says that pensioners are suffering under the high water and electricity bills. And they want to find out, or the person wants to find out, what your take is around pensioners having to pay high electric or water bills.
Yeah, so we must really have a conversation about that, and have a sincere conversation about it. Now, yes, we agree that there must be assistance to pensioners, and in fact we had pronounced that. Mm-hmm. We are just trying to do a modality, how is it that we are going to assist the pensioners. But this is a question. Must pensioners be assisted every financial year? Meaning they must accumulate debt every year and then we write them off? That's a question that we must all answer. And then, if that's the case, when they consume, who must pay for that consumption? That's one. Number two, on the other hand, you have children whose parents have passed on. We have child-headed household. Between a pensioner and a child-headed household, the pensioner gets an income. It might be, one pensioner could even be a veteran of the liberation struggle, and they get a 3,000 per month. And then they get this old age grant. And a child-headed household whose parents have died of HIV or of cancer or whatever it is, what must we do to those orphans who are in those households? And some of them come to my office. Those are not easy questions, but we agree. I'm talking about debt. If an old person have debt of 100,000, that's why we're talking about, can we write it off? But then the question is that next year, when this debt is written off, what should then happen? Should the same pensioner come back again and get the and accumulate debt and get the debt written off? Now, Ms. Mocho, now who I was just narrating, who works for us, she's 59 years old, 11 months and 20 days. In few days' time, she's going to become a pensioner. Are we talking about, or for instance, the Nangolo Mbumba is an 80-year-old pensioner. He's a vice president of a country. What must we do to him? He's a pensioner. Is it every pensioner qualifies, including President Gainkop? What do we do to a millionaire pensioner? That is why when in our articulation we are talking about economically unable. But also, we see a lot of youngsters who are living in pensioners' houses. Because how do you then monitor in your system? Because the house belongs to this person, the ID number is so, the date of birth, and therefore you are able to determine in the system that this is the house of a pensioner. But in that house, maybe a Kwaito Artist of the Year lives in that house. And we know that MTC gives them maybe about 70,000 per award that you get from the NAMAS. What must we do to a pensioner who is having children that are working? So it's not an easy thing, but what we're saying and what we agree is that pensioners are not in a uniform category. Some pensioners are in parliament. Some pensioners are millionaires. But some pensioners are really poor. They have no other means. Some pensioners have houses, but they are living in the villages. And these houses have been rented out. So it's a complex issue. That's why what we have decided at our level, we say that economically unable pensioners who probably have never worked in their own life, they only rely on that, and they are in their house with children who are under 15, maybe great-grandchildren that are dumped by these problematic youth who just give birth and they dump the children with the pensioners, and they go and gallivant all over the place. You see, they are very naughty residents here, particularly the young in Windhoek. So those ones are the ones that we want to have a conversation about. But the conversation that we want to have about is that, do they just submit their IDs, or we are going to do even random check to see who is actually living at that house? You see that there will be a C63 packed at that house, but we must write off the dead. So it's a very complex question that is not easy to do, because you cannot, if we are taking you out of debt, you must not go in further debt. Yeah, because there was an attempt somewhere, I think it's 2017, and we have those records. And then some of us are also saying that if you were assisted in that time with your debt being written off and you accumulate further debt, must we continue again in 2022 to write off? So then what? It means then you are a free person who just enjoy that thing.
Very, very, very insightful. Thank you so much for joining us. It was indeed a very informative discussion, and I really hope that our viewers who sent us these very important questions really also got their answers. So
thank you very much to you and the viewers, and I hope the answers have assisted. So it's the first time we will learn, and I apologize in advance because I answer questions the way they are. I don't necessarily answer them to be liked or be thanked, but just development is a very serious thing, and I take it very seriously. That's why I answer very seriously also. But I'm also very excited that it assists us to reach out to the residents. One Africa, you must indeed keep it up. I mean, I see a lot of community stories that you do and you are following, so I'm very excited about, and I hope that other colleagues also from other towns would also take the platform seriously and benefit from it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you have it. And that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you once again, Your Worship, for joining us. To ask the City of Windhoek Mayor questions you would like to have answers to, simply SMS the words, Ask the Mayor, your question, your name, and the town you're from to the number 555. Till next time, from me, Joseph Ilonga, it's goodbye for now.
Sy het nog steeds abandonment issues.
Is moontlik.
Ons moeite met die sprokies. Ek probeer so hard om my kind gelukkig te maak, maar ek kry dit nie reg nie.
Probeer net help, dis al.
Jy doen niks sonder bymotiewe nie.
So jy hou van die tattoo?
Nee. Maar jy kan nie liefde koop nie. En beslis nie myne nie.
Jy regular.
Am I that predictable?
Jy is 'n gereelde klant en ons net so 'n manier om koffie te drink.
How do you like your coffee?
Gewoonlik swart sonder suiker.
Does black and bitter only pertain to your coffee preference?
Ek hou maar net van my koffie sonder melk.
Hoe gaan dit op bal raak slaan na 2 glase wyn?
That was